This started out to be an interview with my father, a World War II veteran. I had composed some general interview questions about his life in San Diego before he had enlisted, why he had enlisted, and questions about his first leave back to San Diego. The plan was to report not so much about his war experiences, but mostly about the time leading up to his leaving home and his first leave back home to San Diego. Leaving and returning home were critical moments for sailors or soldiers, as they still are, and for that reason, those are the moments that I wanted to capture in the interview. As the interview went along, I noticed an interesting story unfolding. Although he really got into telling about his Navy stories, there was a sad, hollow feeling that resonated when he recanted the memories of his first leave back to San Diego. When I prodded a little more about the details of the leave, he always returned to the war tales. Perhaps it was easier for him to verbalize about the war tales. As it turned out, he wasn't comfortable continuing work on the interview as we had planned, but he agreed to let me write a narrative about his first leave back to San Diego in 1943. He didn't want to read the narrative himself, so his grandson is reading it for him.
I was like many other 17-year-olds in 1941, ready to enlist to serve and defend my country. Serving my country meant leaving everything else behind. I enlisted one day and the next I was in boot camp. Everything happened so fast, and I never had a chance to think about what I was getting into. I finished boot camp and went to the submarine base in Pearl Harbor. I was so busy doing my job, I didn't really have time to look back and miss what I had left. It wasn't until I returned to my old neighborhood for that first leave back to San Diego in 1943 when I realized I wasn't like every other 18-year-old sailor going home for his first time. Never had it hit me so suddenly that I had left with no family and returned to the same nothingness, no family. After a year and a half of service, I received my first leave home back to San Diego, and it wasn't what it should have been for an 18-year-old sailor. Really, I came back to San Diego, but had no one to welcome me home. No mother and father waiting for me, no one to welcome me into a cozy home and serve me good meals. So I killed time hanging around the neighborhood. Growing up, I never had too many friends, so I looked around for the few that I had. I didn't spend too much time with them. Mostly we just caught up and then we went our separate ways. I spent most of the time circling around my neighborhood, going to different soda pop stands, just killing time. Coming from a broken up family, I never had a place where I was happy. There was no place that I was really comfortable. All of my memories were pretty sad and dark. I found myself hanging out at the neighborhood malt shop on 25th and Imperial and just wore out my 23 days. During that time, I stayed with my sister Vera on Commercial Street. She worked during the day and I stayed at her house in the evening. 23 days should have gone a lot faster, but when you have nowhere to go, the time can drag, and it did. But I knew that at the end of my leave I had a ship to go to. I would return to 3 square meals, a bed to sleep in, and shipmates that would look after me. And I would look after them too. No matter how different our backgrounds were, once we boarded our ship, we were all the same sailors fighting a world war. It was then, in August of 1943, that I realized the Navy had become my family.